We can get started. I see us streaming in the Facebook group now. Pro Power Hour. Something we do every Thursday at this time. If you're new to House Call Pro, really recommend add this to your calendar or try to catch the recordings. It's a great way to just learn the platform in addition to whatever onboarding support you're getting as you're getting started. And maybe you're not new around here, but you're looking for refreshers. You're looking to see maybe how other super pros are using features or products inside House Call. And so that's what this time is for. Every week, we take a product, feature, a few of those, talk about how to use them, kind of best practices, some real life application with some other pros. And we have a whole recording library. We've covered probably 95, 97% of the House Call Pro platform. So there's all the past sessions available. You can go back and watch those. And if you join us on Zoom, join us on Facebook, you can ask questions. We do a lot of Q&A. And today we're going to be talking about Voice. It's one of our add-on products. If you're looking for a business phone, or maybe you've been interested in migrating over to our voice solution. This is a great way to get a lowdown, see an overview. And if you're using voice, or you're considering using voice, I should say, we've got a couple new things rolling out, making that process easier. A new porting process that we'll kind of talk about at the end of the session. But we've got Amber and Emily back with us, a couple of our super pros have been with us the last few weeks. And Amy's joining us this week. I want to give Amy an opportunity to introduce herself, and then we'll turn it over to Phil to get started.
Okay, thank you. My name's Amy Boatwright. I'm actually currently in a hotel room because I found out about this a couple hours ago. Uh, but my husband and I own an overhead door business called Nobility Door, and we have three locations in southeastern Oklahoma. So yeah, we're kind of in the rural South, and we are in the overhead door business. We've been using House Call Pro since 2022. And so I'm excited to be here. We do use voice. We like voice. And I polled all my employees a little bit ago to ask them what their favorite features were and what frustrated them with it. So I could help give input because they use it more than I do. So yeah, but happy to be here.
Cool, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
glad to have you. Um, yeah, so we're gonna, as we're all aware, we're gonna talk about the VoIP voice over IP system. Um, I think what's best for kind of how the agenda for today is going to look is I'm just going to pull it up on my test account and we're just going to kind of run through it as if I was training you all with your first time with onboarding the VoIP feature. And then as I kind of go through it, I'll obviously kick it over to you three lovely ladies to provide some input on different things that you're doing and how you're setting yours up. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and let's get into it. So with the voice over IP system, as Chris was explaining, this is really if you are looking to, as I've talked to a lot of pros that are coming and starting their journey with House Call Pro, they want to kind of have everything all in one system. And so I know some people come to me where they've been using Ring Central or they using their own desk phones, um, using their own cell phones or, any other kind of voice system. And, we put out this product so that we can keep everything in-house. And so with it, once you have it, we are going to be able to go into your account settings and you will see the option for, I'm sorry, it got moved over here into inbox. Now, when you first get the voice over IP, it's going to prompt you to kind of do what the same steps that you did when you set up your text messaging with us. There's a verification form because essentially what we make everybody do is get a new number from us. When I talk to pros that are setting it up for the first time, they get a little nervous of, why are you making me get a phone number? The reason that we're doing it is so that if you don't have a business line, you now already have one. You got one from us. You get to pick the area code. We'll give you a list of phone numbers we have available, and then you pick the one that you like. Another reason is people want to port their numbers over, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. And so with when you are trying to port your number over, I'm going to explain that whole process in a moment. But By getting a number from us, we can still go through and set up your entire phone system so that once your number is finally ported over into the system, all you have to do is check a box and then boom, your system is good to go. So, uh, there's a couple of other steps in there, but it's pretty self-explanatory, step by step by step. I can't necessarily show it just because my account already has it and I already went through that process. You only have to go through it once. What you will notice is that once you do have a number set up, so before I go into porting, just showing is that typically you'll see one number listed here, and we'll typically make it your primary number, and then you'll be able to over on the right hand side make any adjustments to in terms of destination lead source, or if we want to change whether that's going to be the primary or not, if we start to put in more numbers. I know the voice over IP does come in three different packages. One package does allow you to have two lead source numbers and one primary number. The second package is 10 lead source numbers and one primary number. And then the last one, I believe, is 30 lead source numbers and one primary number. So in this account, I have quite a few in here. And what I mean by lead source numbers is I have my one primary number here, but I also have my number that I have on Angie's list. I've got one that I put on my yard signs. I've got one for my Instagram. So now I can start tracking as people call these numbers. We're going to see this when we look at our reports where people are calling from. So now I know where my marketing time and money is best spent. But most people I talk to, they typically want to port the numbers because that's already on our trucks, that's already on our business cards, it's on all of our advertising. So you can go over here and click the Port Numbers Now button. Now, to port a number over to House Call Pro, we need two different pieces of documentation. One of them is the letter of authorization. You can download that letter of authorization right here, and the form looks like this. You just fill this information out. I do know I've talked to some pros and I have been on calls with pros where they have called their phone provider while we're doing the onboarding. So you may have to reach out to them to get a specific PIN number. But other than that, you're really just putting in all the numbers that you need to send on over to us. And once it's all in there, you can upload the document right here. The only other thing we'll need is a copy of the last phone bill of the number or numbers that you're trying to bring over. Those are the two required pieces of documentation. There is this CSR report. I've personally never seen anybody upload one. I've never actually seen what one of these look like, but it is there and it is optional. Most pros I talk to just use the two that are required. Now, to explain the porting process, it is up here, but I'll go ahead and paraphrase it. So once you do send in your documentation, this little button will light up down here and we can start it. And it usually takes about 1 to 2 days to just verify all the information is correct so that we can go ahead and start to do this. We generally do all of this part on our side. We will update you if, there are any discrepancies. Our porting team will reach out to let you know what's going on. The porting process can take anywhere between 1 to 3 weeks. Now, that doesn't mean that your phone line is down between 1 to 3 weeks. It just means that this entire process is going to take about 1 to 3, but we're going to be dealing with it mostly once we get your documentation. We'll be dealing with your phone providers on your behalf. Now, as we get closer to the date of when we're actually going to transfer the lines, we will send you an email letting you know the date and the time that we are going to be porting the numbers. There can be some downtime. From what I've typically experienced and heard from my pros is it can be anywhere from a couple of minutes to about at most about an hour. That is why we send you an email ahead of time so that you and your team can be prepared for when we are going to transfer these lines. If for any reason that does not work out for you, you can always respond to that email and ask for another date and time. However, it is contingent on when we can get an engineer available to actually do the transfer. Now, one thing that I did experience lately is that depending on your source of where we're porting your number from, it can vary in that time range. If people are generally using a different voice over IP system, um, it kind of goes in with kind of the provider, which is like Twilio. That's the name of like kind of the more common voice over IP provider, that can take a couple of days instead of a couple of weeks. Usually, when I hear people are talking with Verizon or major phone providers, that's where it tends to take a little bit longer. But again, as I mentioned, you do get an email letting you know when we are going to actually transfer the lines. You do also have the ability in here to add numbers. So if you want to continue to get additional lead source numbers from us, you can always do so. But before I start diving into actually settings and setup, I would love to hear from our guests today. How does it look in your system? Did you all port a number? How did that process look for you? Or did you just get a bunch of numbers from us?
We ported over our phone number so that we could keep the same
I
line.
did the same thing. It didn't take too long either. The process for us was pretty quick. It was less than 2 weeks, I'd say, roughly. It's been a while though.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, it definitely was faster than I thought it would be because we've ported before into a different VoIP, and this was more seamless for sure.
Yeah,
Nice.
same. I think we ported two numbers, and the actual like process start to finish was like Amber said, maybe a couple of weeks. But the when the port goes into effect and you're without service was like less than an hour. So I was impressed with that because I was a little nervous about the phones being down,
Mhm.
and that wasn't bad at all. I also just to say for anybody out there, these tracking numbers are great for using in different places. So we have one set up for kind of the way they have here, yard signs, Angie's List, Google My Business. If we run ads, we do Google Ads. If we have a different one on Facebook, but it gives you all this data about where your calls are coming from and your leads are coming from, which is fantastic because you can use those metrics and that information to know where to put your marketing dollars, like who's feeding you, and then put more money there because they're the ones that are sending you the lead. So yeah, I love this, and we have tons of numbers, so we get to see that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that was going to kind of be my next question is how many numbers did you all port? Just one or a couple? Did you grab a few from
I
us?
ported two, and I created a bunch of extras
Nice.
with House Call Pro.
Nice. Cool. All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive into just some setup over here. So we're going to actually slide over to voice here in our inbox. And the first thing you'll see up here at the top is call flows. If you've used a voice over IP system before, you're probably very familiar with a call flow, a call tree, or something very similar to this. So we're just going to build one from scratch right here. And we'll see is that there is the basic call flow template. So we're going to go on up and we're going to hit next. And we'll see at the top up here, the first option is incoming call. So when we click on it, it's going to give us a list of all of our numbers that we have within the system so that we can just simply check the box to say when people call this number, it's going to go through this particular call flow. So kind of taking a step back towards porting numbers, what I always tell everybody, and like I mentioned a little earlier, is getting the number from us. This allows us to put in that this is going to be our number for now while we wait for our number to get ported over. And once it is ported over, all we have to do is simply come in here and check the box. Everything should be in place. So the next thing on here is for our call hours. Now, I've talked to a lot of pros that have a couple of different scenarios. When you click on this particular section, the first option is going to be available 24/7. So that means you are creating one call flow for all hours of the day, 7 days a week. I do talk to quite a large percentage of pros that tend to want to have it based on their business hours. Now, we're going to see this because I'm going to set this up. Um, but basically, we can have one call flow for our open hours or our office hours, and then we can have one for our closed or emergency hours. You also do have the ability, because I've talked to some people where they have their office time, but maybe they answer their calls still in the office, maybe a little earlier or a little bit later. So instead of basing it off of your business hours, you can customize it completely for when you want your phones to be ringing for one flow as opposed to another. So I'm going to use my business hours here. And notice now I have one call flow for my open hours and one for my closed hours, but still having those two lines assigned to go through this flow. We can click add a step, and I'll just go through each one of these steps here. So we have play a greeting. I'm sure everyone's familiar with what a greeting is, but you do have the ability to type one out. So if you want to type something out and have the automated voice read that back when customers call, thank you for calling, somebody will be with you shortly. They can go ahead and type that in. As I said, the automated voice will read that back. You also do have the ability to upload an audio file. So you can record yourself on your phone, record yourself on your computer, and then upload it into House Call Pro. However, to do this, I always have to tell everybody is make sure that it is an MP3 file. If you don't have aren't able to record an MP3 file, you can still record yourself on your phone or on your computer. And I'm a big music person. You can really go and find a lot of websites that do like convert to MP3 for free. And there's several free websites on here that you can just upload your audio file. It will create it into an MP3 and then you can upload it into House Call Pro. Uh, so that's going to be for your greetings. Another step we can do is forwarding to. So with forwarding to, this is where we can forward it to somebody's specific cell phone. So anybody, any of our employees that are in our system, we can go ahead and forward it to their phone, or we have the ability to send it to an external number. So this falls into if you have maybe our CSR AI product, which we're going to talk more about next week. Maybe you have a different kind of answering service. We have our House Call Pro Assist too. This is how you forward the calls to those different services to answer it. Or maybe you want it to go to somebody that's not in the system. I've tend to hear from experience, and for our guests, please correct me if you've seen something different. But from what I've seen mostly is when you do a forward to, and a call goes to that cell phone, it's going to look like a regular call. Is that generally what you've all experienced? Yeah, I see some head nods. Okay.
Yeah, it comes when it comes to me, I get like it says House Call Pro Audio, which is how I know it's the difference between house call or a call to my regular cell phone.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to say is for that, I typically see when people, and that's the next thing I'm going to talk about is the simultaneous ring. If you do see it when you're doing it the forward to, that's great feedback, especially for me because I've heard more people when they use the forward to feature, it looks like a regular call and they don't get that option. But I know that it still works the way that it's intended. We are just forwarding a call. So where I'm getting at with this is the other step that we can provide. I'm actually going to jump ahead and come back to call menu is in the simultaneous ring. So when I typically set people up is within simultaneous ring, we can similarly forward it to a person's web phone or their desktop. And what I've tended to notice is that if I send it to their web phone through the simultaneous ring, that's where they get the option that Amber was just talking about. The call comes in and it's going to give you two buttons to press and it'll say answer it as your native phone or answer it through the House Call Pro app. Emily, I see you jumped off. You got some input here?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. We don't normally use the forward to, but just I think the distinction here is that like this one, the simul ring, the is that it's going to the app. And the forward to is leaving House Call Pro's app and literally ringing on the person's cell phone, their actual cell phone. So it's forwarding to their phone number that's associated that you have programmed in the settings of House Call Pro. So whatever that phone number is that's associated in the employee settings, it's being forwarded to that phone number and not to the mobile app. And in this way, you can have your technicians in the field answer it from an iPad, from whatever mobile device they may be using the app with, and it's literally going to ring to that device. So a cell phone or a iPad.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a great point to bring up with the iPads. And you basically explained what I did a lot better than I did. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much the point of it. And that's why I tend to have my pros use the simul ring over forwarding too. But again, I always tell people do what's best for your business and whatever works best for you. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say we use simul ring. We don't ever do forward to, so I couldn't really speak to that one.
Yeah, and I
Gotcha.
would say it may come in handy, pros, for things like you're in remote areas that don't have as good a service. I don't know, I haven't tested that, but it would be worth a shot. Now, hypothetically, if the phone has service, it has service, right? But sometimes we hear if the phone doesn't have great service, they can still make calls from their actual native phone. And so maybe if you're one of those people that works in a remote area, maybe the forward to would work better for you. But at, as far as the customer is concerned, they don't know the difference. Forward to or simul ring does the same thing from the customer side. So
Right, exactly. Um, so yeah, uh, just wanted to show in here there is also in simultaneous ring you could set it up for all available web phones, which means everybody that is sitting at a computer and has the dial pad open. We're going to see what that looks like in a few moments here, but there's that option. So if you have more of your people who answer calls sitting in the office and using their computers, we can just have it ring to their desktops. Or as I showed, is we can send it to their web phone or their mobile app. There is ring groups. We're going to look at ring groups in just a moment as well, but that's where we can say like, I want the call to go to Amber and Amy first before it goes to Emily and myself. And then Adam and Chris will be the ones behind us. So that's where you can set up, like, I want it to ring to my office staff first before it starts ringing to people out in the field. Now, I am going to take a step back, is go to this call menu because people were asking for this for the longest. I think it's been around now for probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. But this is how you can set up if you are a business that likes to have like press one for sales, press two for accounting, press three for uh, to pay. So we do have a couple of templates up here. What I tend to see most people do is the spam reduction. This is great for if you want to start screening spam calls. That's generally what I see a lot of pros use this for. You do have the templates as I just mentioned up here, or you can just build this out completely from scratch. Just for sake of time, we're going to use the template. So again, we can upload an audio file. So if you want to record yourself, press one to talk to sales, press two to talk to Amy, press three for Amber. Or we can type that all out and it'll go ahead and do that for us. And then we can also have if no number or an invalid number is selected, disconnect the call or send to voicemail. But kind of the theory behind this, as I mentioned earlier with the spam reduction, is robots cannot press one, press two, press three. So a lot of those spam calls, as they start to hit your phone, I know we're coming up on election season here, so everyone's getting spammed. That's how we can limit some of this and just make sure we're dealing with our customers. All right, so we talked a little bit about simultaneous ring as well. So I'm going to jump in next to our call queue because that's another one. That's probably the newer addition to the different steps. And what that does is it creates a waiting room for you. And we do have some really awesome beats over here that you can put on, and that music will play in the background while your customer's waiting. Or you can upload your own audio file. So if you do have like a little jingle for your company or have, something that explains what you do, you can upload that audio file and have that play in the background while they're in the waiting room. You can also set up how long they sit in that waiting room before it goes to the next step. So I generally see people sitting in there for about 60, so from 1 minute to about 2 to 3 minutes. And then you can also allow them to either stay on hold or you can allow them to leave a voicemail instead that says, hey, we're really busy at this time. We'll be sure to call you back, leave a message. So, Emily, give a big two hand fist pump. Is this something you use, or is this something you've been looking
yeah,
for?
So somebody had just asked in the chat if you could do custom audio for hold music. It looks like, yeah, somebody had asked that earlier. So I just was saying my mistake. It looks like it is now available. That hasn't always been there. So super excited to see that we can put our own hold music. So I don't know if anybody else uses that, but I could never find one of those pre-recorded beats that I liked. I was like, man, they're all so yeah, I'm excited to put hold music. We like to be able to put advertisements and stuff like that in the custom audio. So that would be my other suggestion is use AI. It's really great. Some of the AI tools out there to make like custom jingles and like, welcome to Acadiana Comfort. If you're calling for this department, press one. If you're calling, like you can record all of that and upload it. And that's what we do. So I'm excited about that hold music.
Do you
Cool.
guys use the call queue? We haven't used it. Amber, do y'all use it?
I do.
Oh, y'all do? Okay.
I
I do.
don't, but now I'm curious.
I know.
Now I feel like I need to go turn this on.
I know. I
Yeah.
know. I was like, oh, call queue. Okay, yeah, I
But
don't
then
know.
trying to figure out, what type of hold music, that's going to be a whole day's worth of research.
Wait, so just hold on. Maybe I'm not seeing this correctly. Can you do the audio file I know right now I have an audio file as a cue, but I just for some reason was looking at that, looking like the hold music is going to be an audio file. Am I again misinterpreting this? I cannot set my own hold music. I can only set my own cue music. Is that what I'm seeing?
Hold and cue music would be the same thing.
So, no, when you put someone on hold, are you sticking them in the
Oh,
queue or are you putting them on hold?
um, it's actually a good question. From my understanding, is that is when they are on hold. This is when they are in the waiting room. When you put them on hold, I have not experienced any music play while they are on hold.
Okay. I'll look into it. I'll look into it in a little bit. But yeah, so I use the queue. We send all of our calls to the queue first, and our CSRs use desktop. And so the queue works really well for if you're using desktop, but it puts them into, like he's saying, like a waiting room, and then anyone can answer the phone that's looking at the queue. So anyone in my office can pick that call up. But while they're sitting in that waiting room in the queue, it's playing like a custom jingle that's telling them about our maintenance plan. Did you know that we offered da 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 da? And so that's the way our call flow is set up to send everyone to the queue, and it plays a portion of that until we pick the phone up. And we like that. We've actually sold a good bit of maintenance plans just for that alone. So, um, yeah, like the
How long
queue.
do you let them wait before it sends them to
We
voicemail or it sends them to the CSR or whatever?
I want to say it's programmed for, I'd have to go look. Let me go look and see if I can see how long it's programmed. But what I will say is that when we see it show up in the queue, we're not generally letting them just sit there. We're answering them pretty quickly, but it does give us some time so that if I wanted to wrap this up real quick, a few extra clicks and then
Right,
pick that phone call up, I can.
right.
Um, but not long.
Okay. Because yeah, I've
Let me
got mine rolling. Like it'll go to a ring group, two people, and if they don't pick up, I let it ring for like 20 seconds because lots of times they're like, oh, we're in the warehouse and we jogged back to our desk, but by the time we got there, we didn't have enough time. But I'm like, I've called in, and when I listen to my hold music for like after a minute, I'm ticked. Like I'm like, I would have hung up by now, because it's like it goes from first ring group to second ring group to third ring group, and then I go ahead and shoot it to voicemail just because I don't
Yeah.
want people to get mad and hang up.
So it looks like I have mine set up right now. I go to a call menu and I use a pre-recorded, like AI did like a very realistic, welcome to Acadiana Comfort with some like music in the background. It presses one or two is their options.
Okay.
And then if they press one, it's a service customer and my CSRs are going to answer it. They sit in
Hmm.
the queue for 40 seconds.
Okay.
And then at that point, it goes to voicemail and that's it.
Hmm.
So we don't have it moving on to people we used to,
Uh-huh.
um, but yeah, if you wanted to go CSR AI at that point, you could. But yeah, we just go about 40 seconds in the queue, and
Yeah.
we don't let them wait that whole long time when we do answer from the queue. as quickly as we
But you're
we
saying like your frontline people are on PCs and they see it pop up and that's how they know to click. Yeah. Because see, most of my people are like it's their cell phones in their pocket and they have a little headset, in like what you've got. And
the
anyway,
queue would not work for you, to my knowledge, because there's no way to watch the queue from the mobile app. You can only watch the queue from the desktop computer. So if you
okay.
have people at a computer who are sitting there to answer the phones and they're
Uh-huh.
using the desktop, then the queue is a really great option to have some custom jingles and things like that going on. But other than that, I don't think from the phone, from the mobile app, it would work real well. If somebody has a different experience, chime in, but I don't think you can see it from the mobile app.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Um, all right. And then we talked about the call queue. And then the last thing is send a voicemail, which is very similar to the greeting. Same idea. We upload the audio file, or we can do type something out. So I did check the chat. I didn't really see many other questions about at least the call flows. So we're going to update and we're going to continue walking through some of the setup stuff. So we talked about call flows. Now we're going to talk about ring groups, like I mentioned before. So when you go into ring groups, you're going to see all of these little boxes appear. If you do not, this is how you make them appear. One is if you are trying to get the web phone to box appear. So if Amanda here didn't do it before and you were not seeing her name and pop up in here, but we want her to we want to create a ring group with her, what we want to do is in on the website is we're going to come on up here to this little phone button, click it, and that's going to open our dial pad. We're going to come back to this in just a moment, but I just want to explain this is how we make that Amanda's box appear with the checkbox that says I want to send it to her web phone. The other option, as you'll see on there, is the mobile app. And so that, as I explained a little earlier as well, is that's how we send it directly to that person's mobile app. And as Emily said, is when that call comes in, it comes in through the mobile app. And as Amber mentioned, that's where we can decide whether we want to do answer it from our native phone or through the app. But when we want to do build out our ring group, we just go ahead and give it a group name. So right here, it's the first line of defense. And I can say I want it to ring to these four people when a call comes in, and I can hit save. So now I can go back to my call flows, grab simultaneous ring, and um, pick that specific ring group. So just showing an example, we're in simultaneous ring, go to ring group, and now I can select that first line of defense. So after ring groups, the next thing we'll see in our settings is our audio library. It's pretty self-explanatory. That's just where all of our greetings, our on-hold music, our voicemails, this is where they will all live. The next thing on here is we're going to have our call reasons. Now we will test a call together in just a moment, and you're going to see is when a call comes in and we answer it, we can go ahead and label what type of call this is so that we can pull reports on it and get kind of a high level view of what went on with this call. We do give everybody a list of options that are already available there for you, but you can always create your own. Underneath that, we have some missed call automations. So if it does hit your voicemail, we can decide to have a text message be sent to you when people leave a voicemail or when nobody answers the call. So, sorry we missed
That's
your
the
call.
best feature of the whole program, in my opinion. Thank you for that.
I love it. It's fairly new too, and I have it set up that it has saved me a couple times so they feel it the customer feels acknowledged if you miss their call.
Yes, yes. And I mean, you almost always get the deal because like they got an instant response back and asking, "Hey, how can we help you? Sorry we missed you." And it usually does not cost us the job.
All right. And that's awesome feedback to hear. Yeah, I just feel like it's a no-brainer, especially in our age these days where people are constantly texting over calling, so they just love getting those. But as you can see, there's just a little switch to turn them on, and then there's the little pencil that you can go ahead and create the message that gets sent, and you can also choose when that gets sent. Then the next thing on there is going to be call masking. Now, this is where, so here's my primary number. That's my business number. If this is turned off and one of my employees is out in the field and calls a customer, it's going to show up on the customer's caller ID as my technician's personal phone number. If I turn the switch on, when my technician calls the customer through the mobile app, it's going to show up on the customer's caller ID as my business line and not their personal phone. I want to say about 99% of pros that I talk to turn this switch on because they don't want technicians giving out their own numbers. Call recordings down here feel like it's pretty self-explanatory, but it's really just a switch of whether do you want to record your calls or not. People always ask me, what is the second switch here for? If you turn on the call recording and you leave this on, just an automated voice is going to go ahead and say, the call is being recorded. If we decide to turn it off, you're going to get this little box. And basically, it's just the legalese that says that you are acknowledging that you are going to be the person to say the call is being recorded. Or if you live in a state where you don't have to say that, you don't have to have that be part of your call flow. But that's really it in terms of settings. I didn't really see any other questions come through in terms of settings, but I want to give everyone a moment before we actually test a call so we can see what it looks like.
The one thing I figured I would point out, because the call masking is my favorite part of one of my favorite parts of voice. But when you or any of your text message or your technicians are making or receiving a call, they have to do it from House Call Pro, whatever it comes up as. If they do native, if they select native phone, it's going to give whomever's on the other line their personal phone number. So I always do a very in-depth training with my team so they know exactly which one of those two options to hit to protect their phone number.
Good point.
Yes. Yeah, agreed. And I love that feature too. It may have been one of the biggest reasons why we
It
chose a
was the biggest.
VoIP.
Yep.
Yeah. And we kept looking around for VoIPs because House Call Pros had just come out, Voice did. And I'll say this too, guys, if you're looking for VoIPs and you're considering this as an option, just know that like the simplicity of being able to right there in one app call your customers, clicking the button, everything's integrated. You never have to leave the app is like key with business because you all know because you're business owners just like me that like the easier things are, the more repeatable they are, the more systematic they can become, the better follow through that you have. And so yes, there's other ones out there, but there's like we have good compliance and I bet the other ladies on here could agree like our techs use this. If it was had to leave that app and go to another one, I don't know that you would have as much use out of it. Like your guys in the field probably wouldn't. It's just more complicated. Copy a number, paste it over here, you know?
Yep.
Well, and just the fact that in the inbox you can see like if a customer texts and goes, "No one showed up yet," I can go click on it, and if my tech has called to explain why they're not there, I can
Yeah.
see that. So it's like I just go swipe, archive, that one's been taken care of. Like it's super handy that it's all in one
Yes.
thread.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I agree.
Huh. I see Anthony popped on here. Do you have some feedback, some questions?
Yeah, so I mean, the good thing about voice over IP in House Call Pro also is that you can track what stuff is going on with your phones. So you can get your recordings, you can listen to your outbound recordings, you can see what your technicians are saying to your customers, what your office staff is saying to your customers. You can use it as a training opportunity, like, hey, we want to say these words instead of that words, or use it as a sales opportunity, and you can say, hey, this is how we would approach this um, rebuttal on price or whatever, and then you can actually use the intake flow. So you'll also get a pop-up when the call comes in for your intake flow, and then you can ask specific questions. Everything can be organized when you're creating the estimate, the job, or the lead. And then once you if you follow the process, the data that you're going to be putting in House Call Pro is more accurate. And then when we want to do reporting, and now with HCP AI grabbing that data, all of that stuff is going to be accurate. So it's just a domino effect of positive using voice over IP in House Call Pro, because all the data that you're going to be putting in is just going to be correct data or good data, essentially.
Yeah. Good.
And if they're a
Good.
customer in your system too already, or you add them, you get a little call button in there or a little call tab in their profile, and all the calls are stored there too. That if you can't find it in your inbox somewhere, or you can't find it in your call log, it's gonna be on that customer's profile, living there forever.
Yeah, I love it. That's how I find phone calls. Sometimes people will say, "Oh, well, they didn't tell me that da 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 da," and
Yep.
I
And
just
then,
immediately go back to the call log. I find that phone call and I go listen to exactly what they said.
yep.
Uh, it's just wonderful. It really is. There, as far as like liability goes, as you grow in business, like there's nothing you can't even put money on the value that things like that bring you, you know?
Well, it's nice to
Yeah.
be able to go back and listen to see, like, okay, so that customer requested Friday at 3 o'clock, but like, if I can listen to the recording, I can see the sense of urgency and like, or are they frustrated or were they easygoing when they said, how about for, I don't know, Friday at 3, anyway, there's just a lot you can
Yeah.
get from actually listening to the call.
And
Oh, even sorry, go ahead, Amber.
I just hired a new CSR in my office, and she gets a little overwhelmed putting all the information in as she's on the phone. So what she'll actually do is she'll go back, listen to the call, double check the information she put in so she knows she's putting it in accurately.
That's exactly what I was going to say is like I've literally even gotten email addresses and phone numbers incorrect and I can see it when we go to send the receipt or the invoice and I just go back to the phone call and listen to it and then I don't have to call this customer back and be like, "Hey, I made a typo. Can you give me your email
Mhm.
again?" I love it for things like that. And on the weekends and after hours, I don't even try to fiddle with the actual like putting in the customer and scheduling the call while I'm on the phone with the customer. I just take down everything I need just like this. Yes, ma'am. And what's your email? Okay. And what's your phone number? And then the minute I'm able to stop and get off the phone with that customer, then I sit there and put it all in. I know I have it on a recording, so I don't have to be like, "Oh, hold on just 1 second. Let me get that screen pulled up." I just take the call and then go back. So love it.
All right. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna test a call so everyone can see what that kind of looks like. I'm probably not in Shayna's account, but want to point out is if you are using the website, you do need to have this dial pad open and you need to set yourself to available in order to be taking calls. If this is not open, you will not be able to answer calls on your computer. Um, I always tell my pros is it does not have to be on the front screen right here. In my office here, I have two monitors, so I typically advise people to just like keep it on their second monitor somewhere. But also is you can have it in the back, and if a call comes in, you can always press on the phone button and it will bring your dial pad to the front. So I'm going to go ahead and make a call, and we're going to see what this is going to look like. I do want to make sure that we give Adam some time to share what he has, so I'm going to kind of move through this a little bit faster. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and make the call. All right, so there we can see the dial pads lit up, and when I go to answer it, I know you all didn't see this, but it opened up the intake form. Let me get back here. So I just want to show is that there are the buttons where you can choose to turn off the recording, you can mute the call, and you can add people to the call or transfer the call. I'm going to hang up the call because I hear myself echoing in my ear. But if I was in the system, notice my number did pop up. Um, I'm just a new customer, but if I was in the system, my name would actually pop up here with my address. Not all of my customer information, but at least my name, my address, and it would capture my phone number as well. Now, I've gone over the intake form before on a previous call, and again, just for sake of time, I'm not going to go through all the ins and outs of the intake form, but just want to show the difference with the voice system is once we do put in some information in our intake form, we can hit save as, and now we have the option for call notes and spam. So again, if we want to block numbers from calling us, we can always put them in the spam section. That will keep them from coming through again. And we have a spot for call notes, which, as I discussed in our setup, is where we can mark what this particular call was. And we can also, let's do a vendor call, and we can put in some notes. What that's going to do is if we go to our job inbox, there's going to be a spot for the voice call log. And when you click on that, as I mentioned, this is where you're going to get that high view of all of your calls. And we can see who called. If I was in the system, my name would be there. When that call happened, which number was called, what the reason for that call was. If a job, an estimate, or a lead was created off of that phone call, we would have a link right here that takes us directly to that job or that estimate or lead. Let me see if I can just find maybe one example. Okay, I don't see one, but there would be a link right here that takes you right there. We can see who answered the call. We can also see how long that call was, call that customer back, or there's the play button right there to listen to the recordings.
Hey,
And you
Phil,
can,
I have a quick question.
yes.
So when you say that you can see who answered the call, most often, like my frontline people will transfer that to where it needs to go. So, but it never changes. Isn't that always the person that answered that's listed there?
That is correct.
Okay, that's what we were thinking. Because it might say that Kyle talked to someone for 30 minutes and we're like, what the heck? Well, then it's actually not. They just answered and transferred to someone and yeah. So,
Gotcha. That's a good point to bring up. But yeah, it's always going to be the person who initially answered that call. This is also where you're going to be able to listen to your voicemails as well and see, all of your calls, your missed calls, your inbounds, your outbounds, and those voicemails. One other thing to call out in your call log is that you can see that it does light up blue when I hover over it. And when I click on it, that's where this little window will pop up where I can make any adjustments to who was the caller, the call reason, or put in any additional notes, make any edits to the notes, or block that customer to sending them to our spam list. And then the only other thing I typically show people when I do onboardings is with the voice system, you now have in the reporting section voice reports. And in your voice reports, we can look at your call conversions either by date, by lead source, or call reason, or by employee. So that way we can start to see, who answered the most calls, who's making the most calls, and what is becoming of those calls. Are they creating estimates? Are they creating leads or jobs? So there's a lot of great reporting in here, all based off of the phone system when it goes to making calls and taking calls. So I know I kind of rushed through that a little bit, but I want to make sure Adam has some time. Any other questions coming in or any other feedback from our guests?
So just to clarify also, if you forward the call outside of your HCP VoIP system, it will not show you who answered the call.
That is a good point. That actually brings up one other point is kind of going all the way back to our settings is I forgot to mention this one, but when we do send a call to an external number, you'll see this yellow box appear. And basically what that means is because that phone line is outside of the House Call Pro system, if a customer leaves a voicemail on that number, that's where the voicemail is going to live, not in your House Call Pro system. So what I typically advise people is if you want it to fall back into your House Call Pro system, you need to set up a another step behind it.
I'm curious because we don't use this very much. The forward to, we already kind of talked about that, but does it continue recording?
I believe it does. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just wondered because we don't do that very
I'm
often.
99% sure it does because I do that all the time. Like I forward outside. So I don't have my phone number ported. I still have it with a regular service provider, and then I forward it to that number. But I use it to track for like call tracking and things like that, and mainly for my text to do outbound calling. Um, so when people call that number back, it forwards. It'll say the recording prompt in the beginning, and then it'll forward it to uh, my outbound or external number.
Nice. So yeah, as I mentioned, that's typically I call them like the 3 to 4 pillars of the VoIP system. I usually walk my pros through setting everything up, testing a call like we did, seeing what it looks like when a call comes in, seeing that intake form, seeing the call log, seeing all of our records of our calls, and listening to the recordings and the different reports. So. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Adam. Certainly, if you have more questions, feel free to throw them in the chat.
Yeah, thanks for taking us through that, Phil. Yeah, we'll watch the chat for the next few minutes. If you have any last minute questions, get those in. But yeah, Adam, we'll kick it over to you. I know we have a new, Phil went through kind of the porting process, but I know we have a new porting process coming. Play a demo in a minute, but yeah, let you kind of introduce that.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks, Phil. Hey everyone, my name's Adam. I'm on the product marketing team, and just wanted to share real quick a new feature that's coming out for voice. Basically, it's the new porting process that we have. So you've already seen a lot about the porting process that we currently have. The product team is avidly working on updating this process just to make this whole porting process a lot smoother. So essentially, what this is going to mean is your existing business phone number, moving that into House Call Pro is going to be a lot faster with far less manual steps. So then that way you can get up and running a lot sooner. So this really brings out like the manual process from the porting process and removes some of the effort that might be required there. So what we have, what I just wanted to share with all of you is just a quick little demo from our product team that kind of showcases what that process is going to look like in the very near future.
New porting. Hello, in this short video we'll go over Hauscall's new porting process, which is a process that our pros use to bring their existing number onto HCP's platform. This process starts with the upload of your latest carrier bill. For example, in this case, I am uploading my T-Mobile bill. And when moving to the next step, HCP will extract the information from the bill that was uploaded and present it to the pro to make it easier. Since I am in a prototype environment, the uploaded bill is not displayed here, but once in production, the bill will show right here on the left of the extracted information. Once you have verified that the extracted provider information is right, you can confirm and move to the next step. We can now review the account information also extracted from the bill, which contains information about the account holder as well as about the service address. When confirming that, the last verification is the email address. This email address will be used to send a DocuSign that is required to be signed in order to initiate the porting with the new carrier. It was provided and submit. After this, we can see the porting request that is currently in flight. The status will update as the porting process progresses, and if any action is required to be taken, it will be shown on this screen. For example, in this case, we have just submitted, and the letter of authorization has been sent and is pending signature. This was a very short video which demonstrates the new porting process that HCP is currently implementing in order to make this process easy and frictionless for our pros. Thanks for watching.
Awesome. Um, Adam, and do we have that link that we talked about? Share with our pros here.
Yeah, I can drop this in the chat. So, if anyone's interested in just learning more about how voice could work for their business, this could be a great way just to get some more information. It is a demo link that I will drop here into the chat.
Awesome. Great. I'll make sure too we include this. So if you're watching the recording later, I'll make sure we include the link that we just dropped as well. So, well, huge thank you to everybody here. I know we're coming up on time. So, Amy, so glad to have you. Amber, Emily, welcome back. Anthony, thanks for jumping in. Midway, Phil, thank you as always for taking us through. And Adam, thanks for letting us highlight that new porting process. Seems like it's going to be a lot easier, a little bit more efficient. So, hope you'll join us for Pro Office Hours. If you're a new pro, you don't know about that, something we do every Friday. Talk about it every week, but it's at 11 Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Open hour. Come give us feedback. Come hang out with us. Meet some other peers. Talk with Amber or Emily directly if they're around. Yeah. Otherwise, we'll catch everyone next week. We're gonna continue on. Next week, we're gonna be talking about CSRAI a little bit more in depth. So kind of goes hand in hand a little bit if you wanted to have CSRAI pick up your calls potentially with or without HCP voice. So we'll talk about that next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for
thank
having
y'all.
us.
Yeah.
See y'all
Bye.
later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.